This is a community of 60 people living in Enchang. When it snows, the grass dies, and there's no longer anything to eat. The Arctic is a land of extremes, deadly cold, endless darkness, and brutal isolation. Yet for centuries, its indigenous tribes have defied nature, thriving in conditions that should be unlivable. Scattered across Alaska, Canada, Greenland, Scandinavia, and Russia, these circumpolar peoples have developed extraordinary traditions, from hunting in total darkness to building homes from ice. Their way of life is astonishing. However, some tribes stand above the rest. The Yupik. What if the world around you wasn't just made of land and sea, but of spirits? For the Yupik people, this isn't a fantasy. It's their way of life. They believe everything in nature has a soul, from towering mountains to tiny fish. They're shamans, powerful spiritual guides, can heal the sick, communicate with unseen forces, and even bring misfortune to those who upset the balance. At the heart of their beliefs is El Mua, the spirit of the universe, the unseen force that created all life. This deep respect for nature shapes everything, their traditions, their survival, and even their art. However, their culture isn't just spoken, it's carved, danced, and passed down through generations. The Yupik transform wood and ivory into breathtaking masks and sculptures. The fascinating part about this is that each of these pieces tells a unique story. Along with them, the hypnotic dances performed at potlatch ceremonies are also a way to honor the past and connect with the spirits. Surviving in the Arctic takes more than luck. It takes skill, knowledge, and incredible resilience. When it comes to that, the Yupik have mastered the land and sea, hunting seals, walrus, and caribou with harpoons, spears, and kayaks. To withstand brutal winters, they built kashim, underground communal houses, and anuks, warm shelters lined with animal skins. Now, where the Yupik find wisdom in the spirits of land and sea, there's another tribe that reads a language of ice and snow, the Nenets. The Nenets are a remarkable people who have mastered the art of surviving in one of the harshest environments on Earth, the Siberian tundra. For centuries, they've lived alongside their reindeer, developing a deep knowledge of the snow, ice, and permafrost around them. For this tribe, surviving has been engraved deep into their survival. One of the Nenets' unique skills is their ability to read the snow, with a vocabulary rich in terms for different types of snow. They can predict the weather, find the best grazing spots for their reindeer, and determine when it's safe to travel. In a world where climate change is rapidly altering their environment, this knowledge has never been more critical. Changing weather patterns and melting ice are disrupting their migration routes and grazing lands, putting their way of life at risk. At the same time, the Nenets live in chums, traditional cone-shaped tents made from reindeer hides. These tents are built to withstand temperatures that can drop to a bone-chilling -50 degrees Celsius. However, there's more to the chum than just shelter. The hides provide insulation, keeping the warmth in and the cold out. They are also easy to set up and take down, which is crucial as the Nenets move with their herds for seasonal migrations. In Nenet society, family is everything. They organize themselves into clans and pass down lineage through the father. Each clan has its own territory and customs, and elders hold a special place in guiding decisions. However, it's the Tajia, the shamans, who truly hold the community together. As spiritual leaders, they maintain a delicate balance between humans and nature, ensuring that the Nenets remain connected to the land that sustains them. As more years pass, the Nenets' lifestyle is under threat. Industrial projects like the Yamia project have pushed into their lands, disrupting migration routes and introducing pollution. This encroachment on their pastures could spell the end of the Nenets' traditional way of life. Their free movement across the land is no longer a given, and the very environment they've lived in for centuries is being altered in ways they can't control. It's clear that survival takes many forms. While the Nenets battled the brutal cold of Siberia, another tribe fought against forces far more devastating than nature itself, the Aleut. The term Aleut first surfaced in the 18th century, coined by Russian fur traders to describe two distinct peoples, the Anangak of the Yuyuan Islands and the Sugak of Kodiak Island. While they shared a similar environment, their cultures and languages were unique. However, when Russian colonizers arrived in 1741, everything changed for the Aleut people. What started as trade soon turned into something far more destructive. The promise of commerce quickly morphed into exploitation. Fur traders, Eager for profit, overhunters see otters and seals, ravaging the very ecosystems the Aleutes relied on. Disease spread like wildfire, and warfare followed in the wake of colonization. The result was that the Aleut people were practically gone. From a vibrant community of about 25,000, the population plummeted to just 2,000 by the late 19th century. The question is, how could an entire culture withstand such a devastating blow? The Aleut language, Anangam Chunu, once spoken by thousands, now faces near extinction, with only 109 fluent speakers remaining. The erosion of their language is a direct consequence of centuries of cultural disruption, a blow to their identity that is still felt today. However, in the face of such adversity, the Aleut are fighting back. Efforts to revive their language and practices are underway, with a focus on passing them down to future generations. What practices are these? Well, the Aleut people have always had a profound connection to the natural world, steeped in animism and shamanistic practices. They saw the spirits in the sea, the wind, and the land. However, when Russian Orthodox missionaries arrived, that sacred belief collided with a new religion, Christianity. Christianity spread through the Aleut community, and while many converted, their old ways didn't disappear. They merged with the new. For generations, Aleut men were expert hunters. They braved the harsh seas and baidakas, their skin-covered kayaks, to hunt marine mammals like seals, sea otters, whales, and walruses. Meanwhile, Aleut women gathered fish, birds, shellfish, and wild plants like berries to nourish their people. This way of life wasn't just practical, it was a heartbeat of their community. The shared effort brought them together, forging bonds through their reliance on the land and sea. Then, of course, the Aleut people faced something no one could have predicted: World War II. In a shocking twist, the United States government forcibly relocated them to internment camps with appalling living conditions. Families were torn apart, and their way of life was shattered. The pain of this injustice wasn't acknowledged until decades later. It wasn't until 1988 when the Aleut Restitution Act was passed, offering compensation. But could it ever undo the scars left behind? While the Aleut's fight for their identity was shaped by colonization and war, the Koryak faced a quieter struggle, modern policies slowly chipping away at their culture. The Koryak people have always lived closely with the land, guided by a deep respect for nature. In their society, leadership isn't about titles, it's about making decisions together. Families work as one, making choices that reflect the strength and unity of the group. However, there's one person whose influence goes beyond the family: the shaman. Through rituals and drumming, shamans connect with the spirit world, guiding the people with wisdom passed down through the ages. For the Koryak, nature isn't just something they use, it's sacred.